Do you guys think, or is the New Zealand market different to the overseas market in terms of how people use their social media and what can be done with social media?
For bands or for fans?
For both. Let's go with bands.
It shouldn't be different. It shouldn't. It should be exactly the same. Everything, they've all got the same access to everything. There should literally be no difference between how American bands do it and how New Zealand bands do it. I think they do use it, to their advantage. But I think New Zealand fans and American or English fans, they're not phased. They'll jump on whatever their mates are doing. I feel like in New Zealand there's a very small group of people who are massive music fans, and then everyone will go, oh yeah, love that song, get on, or something similar to that, but they don't really want to spend time going through and finding new music. That's what they have the radio for, and that's what they have Spotify for, is to just be introducing music in a very easy way. I think because people are simply lazy, so they'll like whatever their friends like.
I think it goes back to your first question. I don't think Lord, Naked and Famous, or No More Orchestra, Lady Hawk, or Lawrence Arabia would think there's any difference. They're speaking to the same people. It's proven.
I think you just have to remain true to your brand. So whatever your brand is in an artist, you just keep to it. It gets a bit depressing when you see like HQ or something next to an artist post. It kind of drains it all.
I think one of the key that I've seen in New Zealand artists on Twitter is that they interact so much more with local artists, with the bands that they're friends with and stuff, than overseas artists do. Do you think this is a good thing? It's getting more humanising of the bands?
It's like watching those episodes of Yacht Rock. You watch that? When all the Kenny Loggins and Hall and it's like actors playing them. They've all got beards. They look a bit like you, actually. There's this fake community where they all live and they all know each other and they hang out. Where in New Zealand, that is just true. Yeah. I mean, social media in New Zealand with those bands hanging out, that's just... If you filmed Cuba Street on like a time lapse, it'd probably be exactly the same as what's happening on Facebook. You can't help but be in each other's faces and be friends. And I think one thing that I'd like to see a bit more of in how that manifests itself is more collaborations. In America and the UK, it's such a natural part of an artist's lifespan and their repertoire. A&R means artist and repertoire. I mean, Beyonce writes a lot of great songs, but she's got no problem singing Halo, which is written, by somebody else or what have you. Whereas in New Zealand, we do have that mentality to want to do everything. We're gonna record the song, write the song, engineer the song, do the poster, make the artwork, have the Facebook page, be the webmaster, blah blah blah. But sharing all of those roles out and getting a better thing. A building like this, I've just had to wander around tonight, and it's fantastic that so many facilities are here to be used, and the sharing of that, and then taking that into co-writing, and lyricists and songwriters working together, and just trying to make the best songs. Like if you look at Josh Homme or Queens of the Stone Age sort of credit list, they're just, and his thing is always about whoever can come up with the best idea, and just letting go of that ownership a little bit, that you have to control everything.
Yeah, I suppose because at the end of the day, music's for everybody. So it's kind of, if you create something that might work better for someone else. I know, like a good example of that in New Zealand, Vince Harder is writing songs for every single person almost, and it's kind of nice that he, he's kind of like, oh sure, I can write a hit, but I'll give it to you guys, or I'll give it to you guys, and we can work together on coming up with something. It's kind of nice to see.
It's like, back in the day, you'd put a piece of paper on a notice board in the rock shop saying drummer wanted for, band influences Pantera or whatever. These days you do social media, and so that the pool in which you can talk to, you're not putting a notice board on one little notice board in Auckland in the rock shop. You're putting it on the world's notice board. And if some guy in Tauranga or some guy in Tasmania thinks, well, that sounds like the band for me, is that Frank Zappa and One Direction, that sounds like my band, and they just get on a plane and they'll be there.
I think people are doing that now, but they're doing it kind of in their own groups, like collectives of them and their friends helping each other out. Like you've got stuff like Young, Gifted and Broke, who are all them and their mates that are producers or singer-songwriters. There's just a group of people, but rather than use different people within New Zealand, it's within their group of friends. So it's kind of getting to that stage, but it's not, like, it's still remaining within their friends.
Because you guys brought up with the first question, Lord. There's obviously, she writes everything with a guy called Joe Little. Goodnight Nurse, and that 10-year or 15-year gap between his experience as a musician and as a writer and as a producer has really helped to bring out the best in her, and then the artwork is by the I Love Ugly, or so just very creative people all working together with a common share. They're all on the same page, but they've all got, there's 3 different pens,